Nikki Haley is here, former governor of South Carolina and former UN ambassador and the author of All Due Respect, Defending America with Grit and Grace. Nikki Haley, great to see you. Thank you so much for being here today. So when you hear China push back on General Milley's comment there and say that it's time for the United States to stop thinking about us, this imaginary enemy in China, what do you say?
They want us to trust them. Why would we trust them when we saw what they did to the democracy in Hong Kong? Why would we trust them when we saw how they handled the pandemic? Why would we trust them when they tested this hypersonic missile and didn't tell the world they were getting ready to do it? Why would we trust them when we see them flying warplanes over Taiwan? They have given us no reason to trust them. We can't fall for their words. I have dealt with China before. They say a lot, but watch their actions. Don't ever take our eyes off of their actions. And we're losing this, and we're not being smart about it.
That's scary, what you just said. I mean, we're losing this battle because we're behind in many ways. We know that the Pentagon was stunned by this hypersonic missile test, and clearly we have a large arsenal ourselves. But here's, with regard to Taiwan, which you just mentioned, I mean, it's easy to see that this becomes a flashpoint, potentially, between the United States and China, because China is determined to include us in this one China policy. We have committed to it, which essentially says that Taiwan is allowed to defend itself as a democracy and that we can basically give it some help in defending itself, but not get involved, essentially. But now we have confirmation, Nikki, that from the Wall Street Journal and now from the president of Taiwan, that there are Marine boots on the ground in Taiwan. Is it time to change the one China policy?
Well, I think first we have to change America's policy to China, period. I mean, the fact that they have passed us when it comes to hypersonic missiles. Now, these are missiles, intercontinental ballistic missiles. They'll go over. We could shoot them down. We could defend ourselves. Hypersonic missiles are like remote control cars. You can't catch them, and you can't necessarily detect when they're happening. They are modernizing their military. They have beaten us on artificial intelligence. They're way ahead of us on blockchain. America, wake up. What's it going to take? So Taiwan, yes, that's one issue. But when they saw how we handled Afghanistan, the reason China started flying warplanes over Taiwan is the same reason Russia started hacking us. It's the same reason Iran went and hit one of our bases in Syria. They're not scared of America anymore. No one is scared of America anymore. And we have to start asserting ourselves. We need to stop following. We need to start leading, and we have to wake up. And this is really scary stuff. Why did our intelligence agencies not know that China was that far along in the
Why do you think they didn't know?
Something is very wrong when our intelligence agencies think about it. They missed 9/11. They messed up with Iraq. They messed up with Afghanistan, and now you've messed up with these hypersonic missiles. Something needs to be done with the intelligence, because it makes me think our intelligence is not being modernized, or either it's too bureaucratic that the information is not getting up fast enough. That has to be changed, and it has to be changed.
Does it bother
quickly.
you when you hear the military focusing on sort of equity issues and white rage and things like that?
I think it is feeding right into what Russia and China want. We look so distracted, and they are getting away with everything they want to get done. And you will watch when the Beijing Olympics come up. This is China's way of saying we're the new superpower of the world. That hypersonic test was very strategic. They knew exactly what they were doing, the same way they knew what they were doing with Hong Kong, with the pandemic, and you're going to see them continue to do that. They are trying to create this iron wall around China to where they have a huge surveillance state, and they know everything that's going on in their country, and that they supersede every other country in the world. We have to stop them.
Before I let you go, and before we bring in Claudia Tenney, who you've been working with in Congress and a number of Republican candidates, I do want to ask you about 2024. I want to put up on the screen this Quinnipiac poll that asks the question, would you like to see Donald Trump run for president in 2024 or not? Among Republicans, 78% of them say yes, they would like to see the former president run again. What goes through your mind when you see that?
that I wish everybody would focus on what's happening right now in this country, because 2024 is a mile away. If we don't start focusing on how distracted we are, the goal should be, number one, Virginia, New Jersey's governor's races that are happening next week. Then we've got to look at 22. If we don't win 22, 24 doesn't matter. We have to be focused. We have to be prioritized. I know the fun thing is to talk about the spinning wheel in 24. We don't have that luxury. We've got to stop the bleeding of what Biden's doing, and then we can figure that part out.
So just to stay on the spinning wheel of 2024 for 1 second, if you'll indulge me, Vice President Pence has sort of indicated that he wouldn't rule out running if President Trump does run. And you said that you wouldn't run if he ran. Does that leave open a door potentially for you to be on a ticket with the former president?
No, it opens a door to say that if for some reason I see that there is a place for me, I'll sit down and have a conversation with President Trump at that time, and then we'll talk about it, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, let's bring in Claudia Tenney, who is one of the Iron Ladies who have named themselves thus in the spirit of Margaret Thatcher, and Nikki Haley's PAC is supporting her fellow conservatives here, including 3 members of Congress. We have go ahead. We have Claudia Tenney with us. She's one of those, New York Congresswoman, who's joining us now. Claudia, good to have you here. I guess the first thing I want to ask you as an Iron Lady is how you view what's happening right now with this enormous bill, which I just had on my desk, 2,000 pages to read through in short order to figure out what's in that thing.
Well, first, it's an honor to be on with Ambassador Haley, who personifies the Iron Lady. And obviously, you know, we are doing this in honor of Margaret Thatcher. And Ambassador Haley personifies, as I said, courage. She has a unique background. She stood up strong when she was our ambassador, much like Margaret Thatcher, who recognized that we needed leadership for the time. And Margaret Thatcher teamed up with Ronald Reagan and our wonderful Pope John Paul II, and they changed the world. And I think when you just had this conversation with Ambassador Haley about what's going on with China, the United States needs to view China much the way that Reagan and Thatcher and Pope John Paul viewed the Soviet Union. We are at a crossroads in our nation between Marxism and freedom and those real key principles. Are we going to be a self-governing republic, or are we going to slink into socialism and become, you know, a dependent state? And Margaret Thatcher is our inspiration, which is why I've teamed up with Congresswoman Beth Van Dyne of Texas and also Michelle Fishback, Congresswoman from Minnesota, you know, women who are willing to stand the test and have stood up in difficult races and have shown courage and tenacity and their willingness to defend our principles as Americans in a time where we really are at a crossroads. We need to stand up now, and we need leaders for today. And that's why the Iron Ladies are out there and we're just so honored to have the endorsement of our great ambassador, Nikki Haley.
Oh, thank you, Congresswoman, for being here. Nikki, before I let you go, I mean, these are all 3 seats that were very narrowly won last time around. They're seats that Nancy Pelosi is targeting already. And when you watch what's shaking out today with this enormous bill, and some Democrats seem to think they're getting somewhere, this is going to be a win for them at the end of the day. What do you think?
These are rock stars. They're running circles around Nancy Pelosi. I can tell you, Claudia Tenney, she's pushing back on China. She's trying to get unrestricted internet for the Cubans. She has been there for our military, our veterans. They were in very tough races last time. Pelosi's got her eyes set on their races this time. They need to win. We need to have their backs. I hope everyone will join me at StandForAmericaPAC.com to get these Iron Ladies and so many other good Republicans elected, because I will tell you, it was the year of women in 2020. All you have to do is look at their actions. They are fantastic. They are strong. They are leaders. They're going to be around for a long time. We have to support them in that.
Well, it's going to, you know, I guess the ball really gets rolling on Tuesday. It's Election Day again, so we're going to be covering, we'll be down in D.C. and Virginia covering the race on Tuesday night, focused on the Virginia governor's race, which has gotten very interesting, and the New Jersey race as well is one to keep a close eye on. So here we go. Buckle up your seatbelts as we move forward. Congresswoman Tenney, thank you for stopping by. Good to see you today. And always good to see you, Nikki Haley. Thank you very much for being on set with us today.
Thanks so much.
Thanks. Good to see you.